How are you feeling, Mike?
Good. They're moving me out of quarantine today.
Oh, yay, yay. You just made my day, Mike. You just made my day. All right, guys, let's get our videos on. Let's get our videos on. It's gonna be a crazy day. It's gonna be a crazy day. Hopefully everybody is remembered that today is our first quest. So I wanted to feel as much as like you're taking the quest in the classroom as possible. Okay, so when we take the quest, I'm going to lecture for the first 17 minutes. I will pass out, and I will pass out the quest at like 12:20, and then you guys will have until 1:10 to turn it in. Okay, so I'll pass out the quest at like 12:20. Part will be on WebAssign and part will be on Canvas. So make sure you're logged in. Make sure you're logged into your WebAssign. And make sure you're logged into your Canvas. You should be on Canvas if you got into class. If English is coming, I promise. This is the third test I've given today, so it's just so much easier when we're in class. I hand out a test, you take it, you give it back to me. It takes no time. To do it this way just makes hours and hours on both of our ends trying to figure things out. So, but we'll figure it out. It's going to get easier the more we do it. It's going to get easier the more we do it. Both the WebAssign and the Canvas PDF, the handwritten, will release at the same time, and that's the way I'll hand it out. If you have an ODS, Office of Disabilities Access Plan, okay? Even if you haven't gotten it to me, I don't care. Take extra time. Take extra time. This is an insane semester. This semester's jacked. So you just take extra time and then give me the plan before the end of the semester. Give me the plan before the end of the semester. If not, then both the WebAssign and the handwritten, which you upload as a PDF to Canvas, are due at 1:10. I'm going to lecture for the first part. If you have an access plan, finish the WebAssign first. I have much more control over Canvas than I do on WebAssign. That's Cengage's software. I have almost no control over that.
Dr. Ward?
Yep.
Well, sometimes the problems don't give you like the right answers on WebAssign. Is it going to be like that at all during the tests?
The problems, the answers that they have, it's often syntax, Julia, that's the problem. And that's what makes this hard. I've gone back and forth. You know, kids will send me their handwritten work, which they'll send me pictures, which has it correct, but they haven't quite met the syntax that WebAssign wants. And they're like, Dr. Warren, I'm missing points. And I'm like, I get that. But the only fair thing I can really do is do what WebAssign says. I've gone back and forth, but the logistics of trying to navigate everything just is a nightmare. So I found the fairest thing is just accept what WebAssign says. Eventually we get used to WebAssign. I'm believing that the COVID numbers are going to go down on campus. I'm believing that we're almost hitting herd immunity. I don't know why. But it's hard for me to believe that none of your faces have not been in contact with the COVID virus. I mean, there's just so much of it. I just have to believe. I'm believing that in October, we may be back in the classroom, which is going to make all of our lives so much simpler. 2 weeks ago, I would have said never. But I'm believing now, October, we may get back in our classroom. Probably more after fall break is what I'm thinking. Probably more after fall break. But if like I said, if you have an access plan, finish the WebAssign first. Okay, now listen guys, if by like 12:17 I haven't stopped, you must throw something at me. Just swear at me, push down, and then I will stop. But right now, stand up. You need to stand up and get your brains turned on in-house. Stand up, stretch, stretch. Oh, okay. Sit back down. Now, we're not going to do a lot of theory. We're not going to do a lot of theory today, just because I don't want you opening the limit tools. I don't want you doing stuff. What I want to do is I want to work some problems that are like the ones in 2.4, where we're doing the algebra of limits. What did I just say?
Algebra of limits.
Today the quest is going to, as far as limits is going to be concerned, is going to be concerned about the graphical limits, which I'm more convinced you guys are more comfortable with. Okay, we've spent time on that. The algebra is what I want you doing. You won't have anything to do for Friday, so I want you working on the homework in 2.4, owning that by Friday, because we're going to be moving on pretty soon to derivatives. We're going to be starting derivatives. Okay, so here I've got some problems, and we'll be looking at other. They're right here. We're going to start here. And we're just going to keep moving across. And we're going to work these limits and hopefully have all of them done before you start your quest. Okay, so imagine you hit problem 56 in the textbook, or on our second quest, and read the problem to me. That way I know you can actually see it. What does that say?
Limit is x.
Limit is x approaches 2.
Over x minus 2. Now imagine you hit that. Okay, what would you say about that limit? Just looking at it, what would you say? What real number does it go to? If you look at it, what happens when you plug the 2 into the numerator?
0 in the denominator.
You get 0 in the denominator. Should that scare you? Should that scare you at that point in time? And the answer is yes. Now, what do you get when you plug that into the numerator?
4.
4. So what can you immediately say about that limit?
Doesn't exist.
It does not exist. It does not exist. And if I had to give a justification, it would be limit tool 6. But you don't have your limit tools open. Now look at me. On the second quest, you'll be allowed to have your limit tools with you. I will let you use those. You don't need to memorize them, okay? Those will be available to you when you make proofs on the second quest.
Is there anything for your test today that we're not allowed to have?
You're the only thing you're allowed to have today is your brain and a handheld calculator. Nothing else. You know, so and also I guess I should say this. I probably shouldn't say this, but I'm going to say it anyhow. Guys, WebAssign sends me a log of every single keystroke you take, and if you leave the window and open up anything else, it sends me a log of everything that's there. So when you're on WebAssign, open nothing else on WebAssign. Zoom does the same thing. Zoom doesn't send me a log, but Zoom captures. Nothing's free. Zoom's capturing data for money. Zoom's capturing our data for money. Now, I don't know how it works with the JMU package, because JMU's paying for it, but they're freeware, they capture what they're doing. So you're allowed what on this quest? You're allowed what on the quest here in a little bit? Brain calculator pencil. Brain calculator pencil. Okay, that's it.
The test, we can take it onto paper.
You can take it on paper. Yeah, I know a lot of you guys don't have printers. I mean, it's just so just take it on paper. When you take the pictures, get them as square as possible. I have to be able to read it, guys. I mean, I have to be able to read it. So get it as square as possible when you scan those things.
Dr. Warren, I have a printer at my apartment, so can I just get up and go print?
Oh, I bless you, bless you. If you get up and go print it and work on that, that's gonna help me out a ton. Okay. Now, let's look at the second limit. Let's look at the second limit. Okay, plug the C value into the denominator. What do you get? And hopefully everybody can, what do you get?
Zero.
You get a 0. Now what happens when you plug the C value into the numerator? What do you get?
0.
You get a 0. Now you can't use limit tool 6. On the second quest, you really hope, even though this is degenerate, you're like, Dr. Warren, I want something like that, because you're done in a heartbeat. Problem's done. Do not exist, get full points. Here, this is going to be more of an issue. Most of the time, the limit will exist. You've got to deal with Doug. Say that.
You have to deal with.
Okay, because when I see this kind of thing here, I think of my brother Doug. When I see that, I think of my brother Doug. And my brother Doug and I, we had kind of a conflictual relationship. One time we're in the garage, he got so mad at me, he took a soda bottle, we called it Pop in Ohio, broke it on the tractor, and was coming at me going, I'm going to cut you up, I'm going to cut you up, I'm going to cut you up. And so I grabbed the towel that my dad used for oil, and so we look like morons. He's coming at me with a broken bottle. I've got my towel like this, trying to protect myself. I'm 2 years older, and I was quite a bit bigger. But he's like, finally I get my arm around his, and then I get him on the ground, and it's just bam, 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 bam. Then he goes in and cries to my father, who's like a Marine, 6'4", 280. He comes out and gets me, and then he gets my brother Doug, and then he goes, what were you doing? Why is he bleeding? And I'm like, well, I was punching him in the face. And he's like, why were you doing that? Because he was going to cut me up with a soda bottle. So we both got whipped. And I was like, well, this is not wisdom. We were both got whipped, he was going to cut me up. So whenever I think of this, I'm like, we've got to deal with Doug. Say that.
We have to.
Okay, and the way that we deal with Doug is usually algebra. How do we usually deal with Doug?
Algebra.
Algebra. What can you factor out of that numerator? What can you factor? Look at it carefully. What can you factor out of that numerator? An x. So this limit will go to the same thing as x over 2x minus 3 divided by x. Now this is where you can use that slasher limit tool. Take out your sword. Take out your sword. Take out your sword. Okay, we can now use our slasher limit tool and say this limit. Now notice it's limit, limit, limit. On proper English, proper math, limit, limit, limit. I don't know proper English. Okay, has Doug been dealt with? Has the thing causing the problem been dealt with?
Yes.
Yeah, so at this point, something we're going to talk about on Friday is continuity. The moment you don't have a square root of a negative or division by 0, continuity allows you to evaluate the limit by just plugging it in. So just plug 0 in, and what do you get? Just plug 0 in, and what do you get? Negative 3. This limit is negative 3. This limit is negative 3. Now notice, this is not a proof. This is not a proof. If I ask you to prove it, you're going to have to provide justifications every step along the way. Fortunately, in this class, I'm not going to ask you to prove that much. Okay. Maybe one last one.
The test, like the website hasn't come up on my website yet. Like.
No, I control that.
Oh, okay. I just wasn't even like a thing that could open up later either. I was scared that I didn't get it.
No. But ask questions just like that. Ask questions like, it'd be so much easier. I'd be like, oh, here, take papers, pass them out. Plug negative 2 incorrectly into the denominator. Plug negative 2 incorrectly into the denominator. And what do you get? When you plug -2 in correctly,
Zero.
you get a 0. And you're like, oh, please, Dr. Warren, let the numerator not be 0. Because then what could you immediately say?
Does not exist.
Does not exist and you're done. But when you plug it in and you do the math correctly, you get 4 minus -2, which is
Plus
+2, and then you get -6. So what do you get when you...
0.
Zero
You get 4 minus -2 minus 6, which is 0. What's your next move? What's your next move? What's your next move? What have I taught you? What's your next move? Algebra. Can you factor that? Now here's a trick. Here's a trick. Because this is -2, the C's -2, most teachers won't teach you this. But because this is a -2, I know the factor, one of the factors has to be x plus 2. Because you need it to go to 0. You need it to go to 0 when you plug that in. So very quickly, what would this binomial be?
X minus 1.
X minus 1, if you're going to get that -2. And what does this have to be if you're going to get a -6 and you're going to get an x squared?
X minus 3.
X minus 3. Now what can you pull out now, guys? What can you pull out now? What can you pull out now? Slasher, this goes away. Now, when you plug -2 in, do you get Doug anymore? When you plug negative, is this guy a Doug or not?
No.
Does he cause division by 0?
No.
No. So then you can evaluate the limit by just, these guys are gone. You get -2 minus 5, and then you get a -3, and there's your limit. There's your limit. Okay, I just passed out your test. I just passed out your quest. You should now have access. You should now have access to a WebAssign assignment, and you should be able to have access to your Canvas assignment. Do you see that? Okay, so you can download the PDF, and some of you won't be able to do it. You can just open it and then just read it off the screen. And then you have your WebAssign. And I'm going to just sit here and proctor. I'm going to sit here and proctor. Yep.
For WebAssign, are we sending you pictures of our work, or are we just?
No, because I'm not going to care. I'm not going to look at it. I'm just going to see what WebAssign gives you. I've just found that to be the best.
Thank you.
So we can take it now?
Oh yeah, go. Yeah, you guys are free. You've got until 1:10. You've got until 1:10. When you're finished, upload, and you can leave class just like a regular class. You're only allowed a calculator, a pencil, and your brain.
Professor Warren,
Mm-hmm.
when we upload like the PDF, like handwritten thing, do we have to do the PDF for the WebAssign, like any work for WebAssign?
Nothing. You just put your answers in WebAssign.
Thank you.
You said that we could check it, like each time? There was 3 tries, or?
There's 3 tries. Each time you do it, you lose like 7.5% of the points on that problem.
It'll tell you if it's right or not.
It'll tell you if it's right or not.